Welcome to another edition of What's What BR. We have Jared Loftus with us today. Jared, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am. It is thawed out. People are working. There's no ice,
It
and it's
is.
warming up a little bit, huh?
We go from like sub 30 degrees to what is it, 75 outside? It's
It's
crazy world.
it's. I've always talked about it. You're in Louisiana when you use your air conditioner and heater in the same day, right?
Yep.
So you are hailing out of New Orleans for us. You're with Rasa.
That's right.
So tell me and tell for everybody who doesn't know, what is Rasa? What do you guys do?
So Rasa.io, we help you get more from your email list. And what I mean by that is everybody has, or most businesses have an email list that they've just kind of slowly built over time, whether it's just all their customers or people that have signed up for something on their website, whatever it may be. And not everybody has a robust, content plan where they know exactly what they can send people outside of maybe an updated product or new service coming out that's always very salesy. And this is meant to be something that allows you to stay in touch with that email list on a regular basis through sending them relevant content that they would find interesting. So it's not necessarily about you, the sender, but it's something that they would find interesting, and it allows you to stay on their radar. So in those times when you haven't written a new blog post or you don't really have a new product from the last product that you sent them, but you want to kind of reach out and say hello, this is something that can help with that.
So, as I would say, top of mind awareness. You got to stay in front of people, right?
Absolutely. In today's world, there's so many things coming at you so often. It's so easy to be forgotten. Think about, think of all the different things we've gone through just in the last year alone. It's so many things. And if I started listing them out, you'd be like, wow, that was in the last year. That seems like so long ago, because we just have so much stuff thrown at us. And so if you don't, if it's been 6 months since the last time your customer heard of you, you got to have to like remind them again who you are to start the conversation again,
I had a customer that needed to do that. We did a publication for, and they called up or shot me over an email. We're like, hey, we need to do some more. We need more copies of this. See attached, the original files. And I pulled it up, and I'm like, I forwarded it over to somebody in the office. I'm like, did we do this? Like completely, like when, how long ago? And they were like, we did that in June. I'm like, oh yeah, June. Don't even remember, not one bit.
Yeah. I mean, the world's moving fast, and so, and one of the kickbacks we get is like, yeah, but isn't everyone emailing? Don't they get email fatigue? Which is true, but that's because a lot of people are doing it the wrong way and sending bad emails. So we actually used artificial intelligence in the platform itself. And so the idea is you have just like various sources of content, articles that you think are interesting. And let's say there's like 25 articles that are kind of related to your business, but more so may just be interesting to the customers of your business. And they would go into the platform, and then the AI is going to choose, maybe the 7 articles that each person receives. So you could get a totally different set of 7 articles than I receive, but it's going to be something that you've shown to be interested in based on how you've interacted with that email in the past. And so yeah, everybody's sending email, but not everybody's doing it the right way. And so if you can put something in somebody's inbox that they actually like, that's not just always trying to sell them something, but is actually providing them with value, then we feel like you are establishing this relationship from which there you can do any number of things,
It's funny. I have this discussion at least probably once a week. People will talk about, it's either, you oversaturating people, you posting too much on social media, or you emailing your people too much. And I'm like, and I go back to exactly what you said, it's the value. And the example I use, I tell people all the time, you could even equate this from email to even postal mail. Like, I think I check my old school postal mail, once a couple times a week. But even on that or an email, if I sent you 2 emails every single day and they had a $25 Amazon gift card in it, you would never complain. You would never unsubscribe.
Right.
You would talk about it to people all the time. You would tell people like, this guy, he emails me, $100 twice a day. I get an email from him in the morning, in the afternoon. And I love every time I get one, I get excited. It's like, that's because it's got value of $50. If your content had the value, the right value, now I'm not saying we go send everybody, twice a day, but the answer is, it's like people don't mind getting the email.
Right.
Is it valuable to me or is it junk?
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned the social media aspect too. The other piece that we see is, people are starting to have a bit of social media fatigue and, posting less on the various platforms, or at least like, even if they're not posting or have never posted, some are like not even going to them as often. They've just gotten to feel like it's just too much. And the thing with email is that email allows you to still have that kind of one-to-one connection, as opposed to this message that went to everybody. Now, most people that receive our emails recognize that that email was sent to more than just them. However, in this channel, you're able to reply to the email and it go back to somebody. And so you can comment directly, as opposed to on a Facebook wall or an Instagram feed or Twitter message, so, I'm less likely to comment on things public these days. It's just too crazy out there. It can be misconstrued. Doesn't matter what you say. Somebody's going to read it from the wrong angle, the wrong tone.
Right.
But in a one-to-one communication that email provides you, that's still there. And so with our AI ability to give the relevant content to the right people in a personalized manner, now it's like, wow, this person's sending me something that's interesting and valuable to me. The responses on that are, we'll hear people talk about all the time, but like, people are actually responding to my emails to say like, hey, thanks for sending me that article, or that was really great, that kind of thing.
That's, it's funny. It's 2 points. One thing I always say when we're working on, the marketing piece of things, it's, you got to send the right message to the right person at the right time. That's the key. If you can nail those 3, you can get the response. But the other piece is that what I think people don't realize, even in the LinkedIn social media, like if you go comb through, like I've pretty much ditched most social media. I've ditched media as a whole. Like I honestly, somebody, we were talking earlier, my hobby's flying airplanes. I didn't even know that there was a crash the other day, outside of New Orleans. And they were like, how do you not know? I'm like, I literally just don't watch anything, keep up with it.
I'm on the same page with that. Low information diet. Big fan.
But where I'm going with this is, even when I go, like I will consume LinkedIn and we'll kind of scroll through and kind of see, you don't see deals happening inside LinkedIn threads. People aren't posting something and someone posts back like, yes, I'd like to buy 4, can you post me the invoice here? People talk about, email's dead. I tend to disagree, because it is that intimate conversation. It's you send me something, we're going to conduct a deal, if anything, over email, or we're going to meet, but it's happening. You don't see that in the threads on LinkedIn. Even the really good, high engagement, thousands of comment posts, you don't see people just like, mail me one. Here's a picture of my credit card. Take my money. You don't see that. It's people talking, but the transaction happens either over Zoom, face-to-face, or over email.
There's, in all the various businesses I've been involved with, as I got involved with this one, people would be like, email, like, kind of what you just said. People, and is email going to go away? Slack was the email killer at one point. And that didn't really pan out. I mean, Slack's gone and had an IPO, right? But it still didn't kill email. And the fact of the matter is, not only do we not feel like email is dead, it's kind of thriving. You look at some recent acquisitions that, so Facebook just put a lot of money towards an acquisition on email newsletters. Twitter just did the same. There's a couple companies out there that have gotten, multiple $100 million valuations that have raised money that are in kind of the email newsletter space. And so as media has been kind of disrupted and broken up all over the place, and as, again, I think social media itself, those platforms are becoming, people are recognizing like what it is and isn't good for, and they're kind of backing off a little bit. You're seeing lots of what I call newsletter as a business, where there are people out there that make their living sending out a curated newsletter about a particular topic that people aren't really going to the news for information. They're receiving this newsletter that kind of aggregates what they think is best. And then people are literally paying to be a subscriber on some of these newsletters. You look at what's going on with this company called Substack that makes it easy for journalists, writers, thought leaders to be able to monetize their subscriptions. So it's an interesting world. By no means is email dead.
Well, it's funny. I remember, I'm sure you remember, when email first came, you talked about, Slack was going to kill email, but email was to kill mail.
Right.
We all just went through an election cycle with, all of these, wherever you fell, the right, the left and the middle, every single major candidate that was doing anything was still using mail, was still using email. So you hear some of these, and I hate to beat up on them, but it's the kids, the young kids just coming out, the young marketers that are like, yeah, that's dead. We should only be spending our money on TikTok, and we should only be spending money on Instagram. It's like, no, you've got this connection, and
they haven't started receiving important emails. That's why
nobody knows their email address, because they don't give it out to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, as they enter the work world, as they start to see like there's this other communication channel. It's also a large group of people that have gotten used to just all of their communication to being public, and it's just out in the open. And now they're like, oh wait, there are communications that need to not be up in the public forum, right? And that's where email can be very, very good for that.
Well, tell me, what do you? And I think kind of one of the things, Buddy and I were talking about this when it comes to email a few months back. In my mind, it used to be that originally there was, and I'm gonna get the order wrong in the first part. It was, you wanted your emails to get opened. You wanted people to open them and read them, and then you wanted to not get, you didn't want to go to spam, and then you started wanting the clicks. And one of the things that we were equating things to is, to me, one of the most important things when I'm sending an email, and this is what I talk to clients about when we're doing marketing emails or selling, it's the phone. It's to not get deleted, because I picture, we walk around, I'm guilty of it. I hit a red light, I might glance at my phone, and then I'm swiping, just getting rid of it. I'm this human filter, and I consume it and, read it. But if I want to interact with it, it stays there. Mm-hmm. I go back and mark it unread, or I don't delete it. And then I actually sit at the computer and actually let me read through this. And that's what I think is extremely important, for everybody to kind of think you want the opens, you want the clicks, but you just don't want to get that swipe, when somebody's sitting there.
And that's something that you can face. I mean, there's so many different ways to go about that. The deletion rate is not something that we're still not able to record that yet. That's not an act or an event that you can pick up like an open or a click. But along the same vein, I mean, we did a lot of Facebook paid ads earlier or last year, and we started getting to it. I was thinking about it. It's like, man, we would see a lot of activity, and so a lot of clicks would come into the website, and then nothing would happen. And it's like, well, how are we getting them interested enough to click on it, but then from there nothing happens? Well, on Facebook, most of that traffic is mobile, right? And so to your point, it's very well possible that they were at a stoplight, they saw our ad, they clicked on it, and then the light turned green, and they're done. They're like, they've forgotten about us, right? Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you get emails that are actually of interest to you, it'll at least make you pause and go, okay, I'm not going to delete that one. I'll come back to that. Right. So it's kind of one of the things that, I mean, I guess Slack still allows an unread message, but you can't really mark unread Twitter or mark unread Facebook or Instagram
Exactly.
or text. You still can't, at least not on iOS, you can't unread a text. And that's that's my main way of going back to, hey, this is something I need to check.
I have to digress on that one. For God's sakes, I need
How has that
unread.
not been a thing yet? Why have they, like, I can reply in thread, I can have all kinds of emojis, and the screen can light up when I say congratulations, and you can't let me unread a text?
And I don't know about you, I get in trouble with it.
Oh,
like my wife, she'll send me messages, and
right.
I'll just read the one, and I'm like, all right, got it. I'm not opening it because I need to remember it, but I didn't realize it was like 3 before it said, go pick up your daughter early for dance. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
I feel like we're going to have that moment when, and we'll come back, when Jobs, made the big announcement. I forget. He turned around and said, we have copy and paste.
Right.
Like, do you remember like the big announcement when iOS got copy and paste, and everybody was like, we should have had that forever, but it's like mark unread. That's what we need.
I just don't or an app. Like, why is there not an app that allows me to do that? I've looked into it.
I've searched once every couple of weeks. Honestly, maybe you and I are doing the same thing. I'm looking around for like mark text unread iOS, at least every 3 weeks, because I just need to figure it out.
And so that's the thing, like all of these other communication ways to get to somebody, and emails. I mean, it's kind of one of the things that I thought was interesting with Rasa, is that it's taken some of the oldest, like, I don't want to say dumbest technology, but like technology that has been around for the longest, and we're pairing it up with AI and bringing it into the 21st century and making it smart, because it's not going anywhere. People have too many like forms of organization and process around how they handle email, which is also interesting. Just like it's a very intimate look into people and how they, there's the people that go to inbox zero. There's people that don't leave anything open, right? They've got 1,000 different folders, and they all go into different folders. And so it's interesting the more you dig into email, but people have like their way, right?
Yeah.
And I just don't see that going anywhere.
And I think what's to, tie this back for marketers, for people thinking, like I said, you can run that. And I think all forms of marketing are important. The PPC, the print ads, the digital banners, the social media, you've got to be a little bit of everywhere, but it's all about, top of mind. And what I've noticed on some of the, from some of the newsletters that I get and I've subscribed that come through you guys, I don't even know what it is, but I know it's got information that it's almost that FOMO, the fear of missing out. Like there's some industry news here that maybe I need to know, or there's something that I need to know here. I'm going to wait till 9 o'clock. It's going to sit as, unread. And then when I get a chance, I'm going to read and I might just push it out in, after 30 seconds or 15 seconds, but I held on to it, but it puts that company top of mind. Yep. I can't go pin that ad and say, snooze, this ad for, 4 hours and show it to me again. And that's what I think people, should think about when it comes to, how can I stay top of mind? If people want to buy something from you, they're going to call you up and they're going to tell you, and when you call people and say, hey, do you want to buy something? Nobody sits around. I heard it I think it was on LinkedIn the other day. I think it was Brian Burns. If you've seen some of his stuff, he was talking on LinkedIn the other day about, you don't have people sitting around going, what can I spend my money on today? But it's true. If you're the, the association or the group, and you can stay relevant, you can send that weekly email, every 2 weeks to somebody and tell people, you become that subject matter expert for them. And when they've got a need, you're going to be top of mind, and they're going to go, wait, who? I don't even remember the company, but they're always talking about XYZ. They're in my inbox. Somehow I got on that list. Let me search. Here it is. And boom. Now you've made that connection.
That's one of the things that we've seen a big uptick in people using in the real estate world. And if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because a realtor's not going to sell the same person a house every 6 months, every year, every 5 years. I think the National Real Estate Association says that it's every 7 to 8 years now that people are buying a home. And so that realtor can't continue to send that person home listings, right? They just sold them a house. You can't say, hey, here's another house for sale, because that's not relevant, right? That doesn't make sense. And so what we've seen a lot of these agents doing is like all of the news and content around home ownership. Maybe it's events in that community. Maybe it's different seasonal things of news are things to be aware of in the market, right? How to winterize your home, or outdoor activities for the kids in the summer, or recipes, or seasonal, holiday decorations. Just there's all kinds of content around home ownership, and if they could have that be the thing that winds up in the inbox every week or every couple of weeks or whatever along the way, then what we see happen is one of two things. One, like now they have content to put in front of them, so they're not forgotten. They can have that top of mind awareness, or at least back of mind awareness, right? Like you don't have to think of your real estate agent all the time, but that real estate agent does want you to think about them when your friend needs to buy a house or a family member needs to buy a house. And so the referrals are key for them. And now you've got something that's staying in front of the person that you just helped them move into their home, like arguably the largest purchase that someone will ever make. And you're the one that helped usher them into it. So if you can stay in touch with them on a regular basis in a relevant way, then the likelihood of you being able to help them on that next purchase or their friend's next purchase goes up,
Absolutely. That's while you were sitting there talking about it, I was going, what was the realtor's name for the first house I bought?
Right.
That's like, I have no idea. But like you said, if it was relevant information coming, don't email me about more houses to buy. We just did that.
And so I'm sure people would like to think like, oh, I gave such great service and I did everything right. How could they forget me? They're gonna remember me. It's like, man, that was 5 years ago. That was 8 years ago. You have a hard time remembering 8 months ago or 8 weeks ago.
I was gonna say I had went to eat at a really nice restaurant a week ago. Had the best service I probably have. I could not tell you the guy's name, and I'll go there later this week.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I went last week. I'll go again this week. I'm not gonna remember the guy's name.
Yeah. So it doesn't take much, but it's got to be done the right way. You can't continue to send emails about interest rates, right? Or you can't continue to send emails about a house that's for sale, but that doesn't mean there's not things that can be done interesting or that could be interesting to them. And that's an AI problem to solve, right? It's a matter of there's a world of content out there. You don't even have to be the one that's writing it. Just you be the one that distributes it. And so you pair that AI ability to parse through like lots and lots of content and then put it together with your email list so that the right content goes to the right person. And it's kind of a low, low barrier, easy touch point that just kind of keeps you in mind.
That's what everybody's trying to do, right? Is just stay, we've said it a number of times, top of mind, trying to get people to remember you, or when someone asks for that referral, this is who I used. But I think like I said, even on that real estate side of things, if you were to continue that vein, if you get that information, you feel more of a connection. Like, it's not like, hey, I went and spent, $500,000 with you buying this house and I knew you for a total of 3 weeks. We saw a house, you were there, you helped me buy it, and then now I'm gone. It's like I spent more time talking to the car dealership guy because I bring my car back in and I talk to him while I'm getting an oil change. I have a better relationship with him than I do the person that helped me spend $500,000 on a house.
Yep.
So, well, look, so how do people get started with you guys? Is it, Yeah, are
We
you
made
the
we
guy to
made it
talk
easy.
to?
So when we first started this, we originally started going after large organizations, definitely, especially in like the association world. So think of like the American Marketing Association or the American College of Surgeons, people with really large lists, 100, 200, 300,000 people. And in doing that, what we realized was that it doesn't take a large list for this to be effective. It actually, it's because it's on a one-to-one basis. It doesn't need it's all about the individual receiving it, not how large the list is. And so about a year ago, we kind of revamped everything so that it could be accessible to anybody. So all you have to do is go to rasa.io, go to the homepage. You can put your email address in to get started. We've got a free trial that allows you to play around with it, see how it works, set up a newsletter. We've made it really as easy as possible to set that up and get yourself started. And then from there, it's just a matter of, how many people are on your email list. It starts at like $29 a month. So it's nothing crazy.
Oh,
And you can go from there. So it's pretty easy to get started.
well, that's what we've told people, since, this pandemic that we're in, it's being able to stay in touch with people, and be able to reach them where they want to be, communicated at. And I think that's, if you can find out information about some of these people, that are on your list, it helps. We've had to deal, how old are you? What are you interested in? What are you not? And then that's ultimately when you guys are doing that finding out of information. This guy clicks on this, well, he likes boats and this guy likes cars. But
Right.
so if you're into motor vehicles, this guy gets boats, this guy gets cars. You've taken the guesswork out, for everybody. And then it's just a matter of, it's like grow your list.
Yeah.
Because there's some percentage correlation that if you get down with these guys who really do large scale marketing campaigns, and you talk to some of these huge companies, they know what the value is of an email. Like they'll
Right.
literally put a dollar amount on that email address and say, this is how much, this cost. And if an email is worth, $2 to me, and I can grow that to, 5,000 email addresses, I know that those 5,000 is worth this much, but it also generates this much money.
Right.
It's not just the old, how many people are on my list. If you really get down to it, people track this.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of, and speaking of traction, one thing I didn't mention with what we're talking about is you're going to get opens and clicks and things like that. But with that AI ability, it's going to also report what topics people are interested in. So it can say, hey, like based on all of the content that people are reading from your newsletter, here are the topics that they like the most, which then allows you to do, any number of things, whether you were to spin off some marketing automation around that or determine, oh, hey, I need to write about this topic because it looks like people are interested in that right now. So there's a lot of interesting insights that you can get more than just opens and clicks.
I was going to tell you the pulse. You've got a group of people. What are they,
Right.
kind of what's the interesting, I think too many times, we catch ourselves in the publishing world sometimes where it's like, yeah, just because we're inside these four walls doesn't know we know what everybody wants to know.
Right.
And how do we find out what's the next, piece? And then people start moving to social for that. And then social, so we've recently learned, filtered, let's just put it that way, or curated, maybe another way to put it.
Different spin on it.
But this is real, so.
Well, and you know what, you mentioned that's a big question that we get a lot is like, well, wait a minute, if it's based on how people interact with your newsletter, isn't that just going to happen eventually where they're just in their own echo chamber and they're always getting the same type of content in your newsletter? And I mean, the simple answer is no. We've learned from all of these algorithms and social feeds that have done that of, oh wait, we need to make sure that we're not allowing that to happen where somebody goes down the rabbit hole. So we always leave room in the newsletter for articles to be able to come in from within the pieces of content that you've said are valid for that group, but you may not have let us know that you're interested in it, but we would never have known that had we not shown it. So there's always some room for discovering new things about your audience so that you're not just sending them in one direction.
And I guess last thing, I think you and I had talked at one time, it's not always everybody else's content, can't you? You can inject some of your own in there as well, can't you?
Absolutely. So you can have as much control or as little control as you'd like. Some people are like super hands-on and control most aspects of the newsletter. Other people are kind of set it and forget it and automate the thing. We see a blend between the two is probably best, where you can say, you talk about publishers. We've got plenty of publishers that use it. And so what they'll do is they'll bring their content in, put it at the top of the newsletter, make sure everybody gets that. And then the articles underneath that are from outside sources. And so it's kind of a blend of the two. And what we find is interesting is that even though people will send a newsletter that includes content from multiple places, the fact that you've got yours at the top and it's kind of front and center, that ends up winning out a lot of times. So people report back to us that they actually see an increase in the traffic to their own website, even though now they're putting in links to other places. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because now this email that you're getting is not solely about the sender. It's not just this like them shouting something, sell. It's going to be something that is interesting to you, and you have a choice in the matter. You may not like the top article. You may want to see something down there at the bottom, but now you've got some variety. Now you've got some choice, and it's not just this one-off thing of, hey, here's this one article we wrote, read this. It's, hey, here's some things that we think are going to be interesting to you. We hope you read our stuff, but here's other stuff as well.
But even still, from a publisher perspective, they've opened, they've clicked. That's what you're going for.
That's intent. Yeah, you're seeing that. Like they are recognizing that you're alive.
I think it's what is it? I tell people all the time, no one knows how good you are until after the sale. Right. Before the sale, they only know how good your marketing is.
Right.
So it's if you can get just in front of somebody, and like we said, stop them from deleting, get them some relevant content, or even relevant content within reason. Maybe one week it's not relevant, maybe the next, it is, but that stops them from unsubscribing, that you hang on to it. And then also when you call in, you're somewhat familiar.
Right.
They recognize that name. They may not remember where exactly, but I've heard of that.
The conversation all over again and remind you who we are and what do we do. And it's still, there's still some familiarity there.
Awesome. Well, man, I think this is awesome, especially, right down the road in New Orleans,
right here in Louisiana, and all of our developers, we're after COVID, we're not centrally located in an office, but we are all here in New Orleans. And so very proud of the fact that it's being built out of Louisiana.
I always say, we're the tech capital of the South down here. Austin doesn't have anything on us. So. Well, look, I always tell everybody you got better things to do than to spend your time talking with me. But I appreciate you taking some time, filling us in, and hopefully people will give it a shot. I think this is pretty cool stuff. So.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, and of course, if anybody needs any help with it or anything like that, tell them to feel free to reach out to me. Happy to walk people through it.
Yeah, and you've got one too, right? People can get on your newsletter as well.
I've got a newsletter.
I get
it. That's right. You're getting it every 2 weeks. Yeah. Trying to eat my own dog food here. So I get plenty of ideas of what we should do, just because it's like, wait a minute, I want to be able to do this. So I've got one as well.
All right. Well, man, I appreciate you spending the time with us. We'll have to have you come back, fill us in, and have a good day, man.
Sounds good. You too, man.
All right. Bye.